And you've just heard Catkins, the latest single from Raveloe, and I'm delighted to be joined by Raveloe now. Hello, Kim.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. So what can you tell us about Catkins as a song?
Well, I recorded it at Mac Arts, which is in Galashiels, and that was back in May, actually. So that was a really lovely setting to sort of bring the song to life in that sort of converted church space. And I wrote it around springtime. It's named after part of what inspired the song, which is I have a little hallway window, and I was looking through it and I saw these catkins. I didn't actually know what they were called then, so I had to do a little bit of research, what are those beautiful little fluffy buds on those trees?
The little furry caterpillars, aren't they, almost, that hang down? That's how I think of them anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're really sweet. And for some reason they just hadn't really ever caught my attention until that very moment, and then I kind of felt a little bit sad that it was just this temporary thing. I was like, oh, they're so beautiful, but of course they're going to leave soon. And I think because I was going through a lot of stuff in my life, I don't know, it just hit a nerve with me, I think, because I was also, processing things, and there was a lot of change in my life that it just really resonated, and it felt like it really fitted. But yeah, and also the start of the song was actually written a bit before the rest of the song. So it was one of those ones where I'd written some lyrics down and they were sitting there, and I was like, I wonder where these will end up. And then I happened upon a chord progression and it just all fell into place. So that's kind of how the song came about.
And what a beautiful place to be working down in Galashiels, especially at that time of year.
Yeah, it was really nice. I went down with Peter Kelly on the drums and Paul Kelly on bass, and my friend Jack as well. We thought it'd be really nice to film a music video while we were there, since it's such an amazing setting. And although we didn't have much time for actually walking around Galashiels, we did go to get some pizza at one point when we needed to stock up on supplies. But yeah, it was so nice, and working with Stephen was great as well, and obviously Chris from Mac Arts was really lovely. So it was just really special, I think, to be in a space like that and recording, especially after lockdown. Yeah.
Well, the thing that struck me about Catkins as a song is it felt a bit like a lockdown, or a response to lockdown in itself, because I certainly have noticed, particularly with the first lockdown, kind of noticed nature more. I think partly because there was no cars, and there was no, going for a walk every day, even though I was in the city. I was going to parks and I was going to kind of green space when I could, and seeing, because you were doing it on a daily basis or a weekly basis, you were noticing the changes much more than I think I would have done previously.
Yeah, I think maybe that is something that's happened, that people are more in tune with that, because when you were told you only have 1 hour, you're gonna generally probably make use of that and go outside and see what's in the world. And also I think people became a little bit scary to me for a while at the start of the pandemic, and thankfully that is eased. But yeah, so what felt good was to be in nature and be amongst all of that. And I think this song is, well, not directly influenced by the lockdown. It's I think everything influences everything. So yeah.
Absolutely. So how did Raveloe come about? How did this project for you come about?
Well, I'd been writing in a previous band called Tongue Trap for around 5 years or so, and I had a lot of fun playing with my friends, but also I felt like I wasn't quite getting out all of the, I don't know, I think I wanted to explore more things, and I also felt like I'd taken that project as far as it felt right to go at that point in time. So yeah, I just decided to start something that was essentially a solo project that would involve collaboration at times, but it just means that it's something that I can take with me in different settings, because sometimes with a band, it's hard to navigate everyone's schedules and things like that. So I just wanted something that was my own little baby, and this has very much been what Raveloe became.
It's quite interesting, because I've noticed crikey, maybe over the last few years, that a few folk have done that. They've got music where they could play it just solo, just them and guitars or keys or whatever it might be, but then they can play the same songs with a full band, and it brings something very different to them each time.
Yeah, definitely. And it feels different as well. You know, just like playing with the band, it just brings a completely different energy to the songs than when it's just me. But I did feel like I've been playing a lot of solo shows recently, and I'm just really excited to actually play more with a band. I've been missing that a bit.
And talking about live shows, you've got one come up in the Glad Cafe on December the 2nd, I think.
Yeah, that's right. That's going to be my debut headline. So I can't wait. And debut sort of live full band performance. So I'm very looking forward to that.
And you say you've played quite a few shows, have you, since you were allowed to, play gigs and stuff again? How's that been?
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to play quite a few. And I think the first couple were, as you imagine, it just feels very kind of nerve-wracking and getting back into that feeling. But now it's almost like there's been no time at all. It just feels so, I think everyone's just so excited to be back. Maybe not everyone. I think I also want to keep in mind that some people are too maybe feel unsafe to come to gigs, and I really appreciate like that's a struggle for some people. But for myself, I think it's a part of me was kind of missing when I couldn't perform.
Yeah.
It's such a big thing for like the whole process of like writing the songs and then getting to share them. So it's been really good for me to get back into that.
Yeah, as a kind of member of an audience, I know the first gig I went back to, I really was very anxious about it. I was right up to the last minute. I thought, I don't know if I'm going to do this. And then once I was in, the band started playing, you kind of go, oh, I've really missed this. And I realized I've missed it more than I thought I had. And I guess as someone who plays music, it must be even more so.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both, because also like witnessing, like being an audience member of a gig was like the first gig that I went to. It was just amazing. Yeah, just like being in a bath of sound. I missed that.
So how was your kind of lockdown in terms of music? You were obviously writing and making your own, but were you also discovering other people as well?
I was, yeah. I listened a lot to Jill Lorien's EP, actually, Not Your First. That was brilliant. I got really into that. And I think the music that I listened to over lockdown, I have a kind of special relationship with, because the way I listened to it, and there wasn't much, like that was a big bit of my stimulus, was what I was absorbing through that. So yeah, there was Jill, Sue's Good Dog. I was listening to Creature, and also this Gia Margaret. I think the album is called Mia Gargaret, just like a play on her name. And she lost her voice, so she made like an ambient album.
Oh, wow.
And it was so nice just to like wander around and listen to those textures. And yeah, my favorite, Adrian Lenker, Big Thief, forever obsessed. So I was listening to a lot of that as well.
I think that's interesting. Maybe not as extreme as losing your voice and then looking to make music another way. But I've spoken to a lot of musicians who had to change. They still wanted to make music, but they couldn't, meet up and rehearse or do it in a studio or whatever. So they had to find new ways of making often quite radically different music from what they were used to. But that desire was still there. And were you keen to kind of, were you keen to, was music a big part of the last couple of years? Clearly it was, but do you know what I mean? Was it essential to you?
I think it's always kind of had a sense of being essential to me, but like as far as like playing music, it's more in the past like 5-6 years where that urgency has been here. But I think sure I had much more time to focus in on writing and focus in on like I think I'd always dreamed of like getting into production, but I'm not sure if the lockdown hadn't happened, if I would have done that so soon, so I was experimenting with that, and that's how I got that EP recorded. So yeah, it was definitely good for stepping out of my usual approach to music.
Yeah, I think that's interesting, and I think a few people have found that as well. And talking about names as you were, a lot of people won't know where the name Raveloe comes from. So could you explain that?
Yeah, so basically it's taken from a Silas Marner novel. The novel's called Silas Marner. It's by George Eliot, and it's actually Mary Ann Evans, but that's her pen name. And yeah, it's like Raveloe is like a fictional town basically, and that's the setting of the story. And I really liked the fact that it was this like reclusive weaver who is, you know, finds solace in his purpose of weaving. And yeah, I just loved that idea, and the idea of creating this like space, this fictional space for like stories to be told, and that's what I want to do with my song. So it kind of felt like it fit, and I also just liked the word.
It is, absolutely. And so you've had your debut EP out, and now a couple of singles as well. We'll hear another one in a moment. Are there any plans for albums, or I mean, what plans do you have ahead?
Well, I have been writing some new songs, and I'll be playing them at the Glad Cafe, some of them, not all of them. So really, yeah, my plan is to get back into studio as soon as I can, really, and record an album. That's like the next thing on the horizon, which I want to race towards, but I know how these things work and I need to be patient. So yeah, that's hopefully what will happen in 2022.
Well, all the best for that, and all the best for the gig at the Glad Cafe on the 2nd of December. It sounds like it'll be a great night. Thanks so much for taking time to have the chat. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks very much, Alistair. It's been a pleasure. It's great to be part of the show. I always love the artists that you bring on. So no, it's a pleasure.
Well, thank you so much. And this is Raveloe and New House.